Hi, Orangeman speaking. And have you noticed that doors have been getting less and less popular lately? Now it can barely get more than 10k average players. So what happened that led to doors losing so many players? In this video, I'm going to talk about how doors went from one of the most popular games on the platform to just an average game. So let's not waste any time on this intro thingy and let's get going. And I will also ask you to like this video and subscribe, this will help me a lot. If you somehow don't know about Doors, then I'll quickly fill you in. It's a Roblox horror game that is heavily based on Spooky's Jumpscare Mansion and the other Roblox game called Rooms. In Doors, you need to get to the end of the game while different entities will try to kill you, and if they succeed, then you need to start over. The game quickly became popular because of a few things. First, this type of gameplay was pretty new to Roblox. Even though the game was based on Rooms, that game wasn't really popular, so almost no one was familiar with that type of gameplay. The second reason is that the game had a roguelite gameplay where each run was different and you needed to get as far as possible learning from your mistakes, slowly understanding each mechanic, and at the end completing the game. This, combined with the fact that the game was pretty long on its own, made people play for longer periods of time and kept the game active. And the final reason is that the game is generally pretty good. The graphics in the game are amazing. The models and lighting are fantastic. It was really shocking for most people that Roblox games can be this good. So people loved this game. It quickly became popular and people were waiting for next updates that could add new floors, mechanics, and entities. This update was Hot Plus, probably the best Doors update. It added a few new entities, dated animations, and the graphics overall, and a whole new subfloor. This update was truly the update that most people were waiting for. It added even more cool features, and even more people were interested in this game. So it would be pretty obvious that the game would continue getting major updates and would get even more and more popular. But something went wrong. As we see now, the game lost a lot of popularity that it had at the start. So what went wrong? If I would need to point out the moment where everything went wrong, then I would probably choose the moment of the release of the mines. And not even because the update was bad, but rather by how much community waited for the update. The gap between the Hot Plus and the mines is around 19 months, and in that time there was only one major update, which was released in March of 2024. This means that the community waited for almost a year without any significant main updates, so there was almost nothing to do for most time for players who already completed the game. This made the game lose a lot of its initial popularity, and when the mines were released, they didn't manage to bring that popularity back. Even though the update was pretty big and added a whole new floor, it didn't really change the main gameplay that much. You're playing the same Hot floor, but with just a bit of different additions. There were only 2 new entities added outside of the boss fights, and they are easily avoidable and not much of a threat if I'm being honest. So the main hook of the mines were boss rooms with Sig, Rambo, and Figure, and new mechanics like fuses, minecarts, and fire damp rooms. But most of them were just replacement for locked rooms. And even though the game got some of the old players to play it again, the hype quickly ended and the game started to die again. And there is a few reasons for that. The main problem is that the gameplay loop is pretty much the same throughout almost all of the floors, and there is really nothing new that would make players keep playing after checking out the update. Also, the floors just feel like they are all the same, which does not help the situation. They all have the same layout of rooms, and they are pretty repetitive. All of the entities basically the same, even in the subfloors. Backdoors is a perfect example for that. In my opinion, it's the worst out of all the subfloors. It's basically the Hot, but you need to speedrun it. The entities are basically the same, where Blitz is Rush, Lookman is Ice, and that's it. It doesn't really add anything interesting, and rooms are also pretty close to being as bad as the backdoors. And the only subfloor that I would call interesting is Outdoors. It has a pretty unique layout for rooms, and most of the entities are new and have different mechanics and not like the ones in the main floors. It has more unique gameplay than mine's, which is kind of stupid. So the point I'm trying to tell here is that most of the floors in this game are pretty much the same as the hotel, and the outdoors is the only one I could call unique. The other thing that I think affected Doors' popularity is how much people waited for the updates. I already mentioned it, but I would like to say this again. The gap between updates were really big, where we needed to wait for years for a big update to come out. I think that's probably the main reason why the game died so fast. Even though there were updates between the big ones, they were mostly just some kind of events, so this didn't really help this situation. If the game doesn't update frequently, most people will quickly move on to something else and forget about it. Right now, Doors team made the decision to switch from dropping big updates only to small batches, and I think it's a better way of handling updates since we get a lot more gameplay things to keep people entertained. But it doesn't bring back old players, and I think this would play better if this was the way they were handling updates from the beginning. This is actually a good way of keeping people in the game but not bringing more players. Another thing that I don't really want to mention but I feel like should is the fact that there were just better games that improved on some of the aspects of Doors, but I need to warn you that some of the devs of these games are bad people and I don't support them, and you shouldn't too. I'm talking about these games as they are important to the topic of the video, so I need to talk about it. Please don't play these games as it will basically support these people, and that's no good. Anyway, the games that I will talk about now are Grace and Pressure. They both were pretty popular games that were in some ways pretty similar to Doors. Both improve on some aspects of the game. Grace was more difficult and gave a unique challenge, and Pressure was scarier than Doors and had more content. Most people abandoned Doors and moved to these games instead. This of course also had a big negative impact on Doors. Even after both games were cancelled, people still didn't come back to Doors, probably because it was basically just forgotten. So after that, there still might be a question if Doors is going to regain its popularity, and I think that there is a possibility that it might become more popular than it is right now. I think that it's a pretty good game, and if the Rooms update is going to be talked about, it might actually help Doors. I really hope that it will be true. It's actually so sad to see this game get so little attention. Right now, it's probably one of the worst moments for Doors. There is almost no one playing and caring about the game. I really like this game, and it's just not fair that it's getting treated like that. Just for your understanding on how bad the state of Doors is, if you search new April Fool's update on YouTube, there's going to be my video about it at the top, which is crazy because YouTube usually doesn't show small creators in the search tab. This just shows how little attention Doors is getting. I hope that someday that will change. But for now, that's all I have to say. I wish you a wonderful day, morning, evening, or any other time of day. See you next time, spread love, and bye bye.